mynews.studio.
In Colombia, drones are now being used to monitor forests that used to be considered lawless. Deforestation has dropped by a third. How did this come about? And is it something that can last?
Today is 2025-06-09. Let's dive in. Colombia has just reported a 33% drop in deforestation. That's not just a number, it's a major change, especially for the Amazonian national parks.
It stands out, especially when you consider the Amazon's role in storing carbon and helping to stabilize the climate. But what drove the change? Colombia didn't just get lucky. They put stronger environmental rules in place, increased enforcement against illegal logging, and this is crucial, built partnerships with local and indigenous communities.
Right, and to put it in perspective, this isn't a sudden shift. The trend actually started back in 2023, when Colombia recorded a 49% drop in primary forest loss, the lowest in more than 20 years. President Petro's administration rolled out reforms, land rights for rural residents, signed the Escazú Agreement, and passed laws that made deforestation a crime.
Turning deforestation into a criminal act really changed the dynamic. But the details matter. When land rights were formalized, people had a clear reason to protect the forest. The Escazú Agreement meant environmental defenders weren't left on their own. Risks were acknowledged rather than ignored.
They also invested in technology. New monitoring systems helped them spot illegal activities faster. Plus, environmental agencies got more resources and more staff on the ground. But what about outside support? Norway's Climate and Forest Initiative provided both funding and technical expertise.
That's true, but it makes me wonder, can this approach work elsewhere? The legal changes and surveillance tools can be adapted, but so much depends on local politics and context. Not every country can just follow the same steps and expect the same results.
And even in Colombia, progress isn't guaranteed. Despite the big improvement, the latest data shows a 50% increase in primary forest loss between 2023 and 2024. That's a major setback.
Yes, the Environment Ministry confirmed a 35% rise in forest clearing just last year. What's behind it? Expansion of cattle ranching, oil palm plantations, illegal roads, and agriculture, even inside protected areas.
It really shows how complicated these issues are. Progress can be undone quickly. When peace talks stall and violence flares up in remote regions, it's much harder to enforce the rules, and illegal clearing jumps.
So what keeps communities engaged? Indigenous territories now have greater autonomy and are recognized as key partners. They aren't just recipients of aid, they're active stewards. Programs that offer alternative incomes and pay for forest protection help make conservation a practical choice, not just an ideal.
And the Escazú Agreement, along with the peace process reforms, has opened up more participation for people working on the ground. Still, environmental defenders face real risks. Do these incentives actually make conservation last, or are they just short-term fixes?
That's the crucial point. For Colombia to keep deforestation down, it needs to keep peace efforts moving, support alternative livelihoods, and maintain strong law enforcement, but always with local communities involved.
International support also matters. Norway's contributions have been key. Payments linked to results have encouraged Colombia to focus on forests. But with deforestation rising again, there's a risk that funding could be cut. If the numbers go up, do donors step back?
So Colombia needs to tackle root issues like social inequality and instability if it wants these partnerships to last. Otherwise, the progress could easily slip away.
Where does that leave things? Colombia has shown that strong leadership and clear policies can cut forest loss, but the recent setbacks highlight just how delicate these gains are.
This is a turning point, not a final result. Consistent effort, smart policies, and support for communities will be crucial. If progress holds, could Colombia become an example for other countries in the Amazon?
Or will old patterns return as pressures build? That's something we'll keep following.
Thank you for joining us as we explored Colombia's shifting deforestation story, from historic progress to the new challenges and the central role of local communities.
Stay tuned for more insights on global climate and conservation. Thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it out for free.